Welcome to another episode of ComSpeak. Our guest today is Manisha Chowdhury. Manisha is the founder and director at Value 360 Communications, a firm led by three founders, a firm that specializes in new age companies and doing public relations for them. Thank you for joining us, Manisha. Welcome to ComSpeak.
Thanks, Amit.
So, Manisha, tell us about the story about how you got into public relations. We want to know more about that from you.
Okay, so I'm a mass communication student, but I had never thought of joining a PR industry because when I was in a college, PR was taught in a very different way. It was kind of a lot of bookish language, and a lot of emphasis was on video recording. So when I joined Jamia Millia, Kunal approached me, to help him. So that is a story. I just wanted to help him, but I just carried on with the whole process.
Which year was that in?
I think this was 2000, 2001. When I started doing PR, I kind of started enjoying it. So my Jamia professor told me that try this company for a year. You already understand, you wanted to become a video editor. You already understand that process. But try this for a year. And if you didn't like it, then you can always go back, to your video editing.
Right. And that was for which company that he approached you to join? Tell us about that and then what happened later.
It was a precision PR. So we were four partners in that company. So they just wanted more hands and legs, and I was kind of free. I was waiting for my results. So that is how it started. And later on, precision became value, and Gaurav came into the picture.
So what led to the creation and transition of from Precision to Value 360?
So I think when you have partners in board, sometimes what happens that the compatibility is not there. So I think that is what happened with our previous partners. It was very early, Amit. I think it was just 3 or 4 years of our existence that that whole thing happened. Uh, by that time, Gaurav was already in the picture. Precision and Gaurav kind of were partners and working together. And when we decided to separate out with our precision partners, so then Kunal, Gaurav, and I joined hands and created this whole Value 360 Communications.
So tell us about your first initial weeks, months of creating Value 360. Who was your first client? Where was your first office? Let us know more about that.
So, to be very honest, Amit, I do not remember my first client of Value. I do remember my first client of Precision PR,
Okay,
but
tell
I
us
do
that.
not remember. Do you want to
Okay.
tell me about Precision
Yeah,
PR?
yeah, yeah. Tell us. It's good to remember
Okay.
and recall
So
these
I
things. Yeah.
yeah. So when we started Precision PR, we were it was like a boutique agency in nature, and we were working with a couple of lifestyle clients. So I remember my first two clients was one was a furniture designer and the other one was a salsa dancer. Now he's a very famous salsa dancer, but those were my first two clients.
Interesting.
I do not remember first clients of Value, but I do remember that when Gaurav came into the picture, a lot of technology clients, started coming on board because Gaurav comes from that background. He was a technology,
Right.
journalist.
Right.
Yeah, so the first few clients I don't remember of Value, but yes, I do remember the office. We were in Sant Nagar, east of Kailash that time, and we had
Okay.
spent I think 10 to 11 years in that office. Yeah.
I see. Which year did Value get created in? Which year was that?
Mm, I think it was 2004, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just don't remember the
No
year
problem.
completely.
No, that's
Yes,
that's good to know.
but it
So
was
it's been
very
a
early.
long journey for you and your co-founders, partners in building this firm, which is in a way a firm that a lot of young companies, startups look forward to working with as they build their brands. And you've done a great amount of work with a lot of unicorns over the years, and I have been witness to that myself. Tell us a little bit before we come back to talking of campaigns and work. Tell us a little bit of your growing up years. Where did you grow up in? Which city? Which school you went to? Just throw some light on that as well.
So I was born in Muradabad, Amit, but I think when I was 3 or 4 years old, my parents moved, here in Delhi. So my schooling, college, everything has happened in Delhi only. And I think my upbringing was a normal upbringing. Father was a businessman, mother was a homemaker. I'm the eldest sibling, and the most, and I think the responsible one. But yes, if I talk about my upbringing years, I remember that financial. We were facing a financial trouble. I remember when, I was just 10, 11 years old only, I could sense that there is a financial crisis at home and we have to be very careful of our, expenditure and everything. And when I turned 15, 16 years old, I remember I had actually started doing a lot of odd jobs. I was taking tuitions and I used to do promotional campaigns. And I used to, the part of Delhi where I was staying in Rohini and Pitampura, there, Holi festival, Diwali festivals are very in, like they do it till now. So, just participate there so that I can earn something extra. So, yeah, so I remember those years were always, I was worried for the family. I always wanted to do more. I always wanted to help my parents. Yeah.
Interesting. We'll now move back to talking of campaigns and PR work. Over the years, you've worked on hundreds of clients and maybe thousands of campaigns. Tell us, I know there'll be many, but tell us one campaign that Value 360 created, which you worked on, that stands out for you and makes you swell with pride. One campaign that people can look up, read, and say, wow, this is a campaign I've heard of and I never knew it was worked on by Value 360. There's a one campaign that youngsters watching this show can always look up and read and learn more about.
So it is a tricky question, Amit. Uh, you have
It's not a
already
tricky question. I'm sure this question may
I
come to
so
you, but
many clients, and then picking out one campaign. Uh, but yes, I think one of my favorite campaigns was demonetization campaign that we did for Paytm. We all know that how demonetization impacted the whole country, and it was announced all of a sudden, and I think it was a very learning experience when the whole nation is impacted, and we are picking out each problem and creating a campaign around it to ensure that we drive the right messaging for the client. So I think it was a very enriching experience for all of us. I also want to add one more point here. We keep listening on various panels and we keep talking about it also, that how firms, PR firms and clients, they cannot work in isolation. So I think this particular campaign was also a perfect example that how when firm and client are together, their compatibility is so strong, how effectively you can drive each and every campaign. I think that time Sonia was leading the entire campaign at
right.
Paytm's end. And I think that whole the relationship between us and Sonia, it worked out so effectively, and we were able to implement every campaign very quickly because of that.
No, interesting. Thanks for sharing that. Tell us another campaign that you did not work on, a campaign from another firm, another brand that you really admire and feel like, wow, this is a campaign I wish I had a chance to work on. It's an amazing campaign in its own way. Pick one campaign like that. And the reason we ask these questions is so that people watching the show learn about these campaigns from leaders like yourself. So one campaign that you did not work on, but stands out for you.
I think my all-time favorite campaign is Whisper Touch the Pickle. I just loved that campaign. I just loved the cause that they picked up. Periods is a natural process, but the kind of taboos that are attached with periods. And it was very, because I have also gone through this. I was also told, not to touch this, not to go to the kitchen. So for any young girl who starts going through this process, and if you start putting all these restrictions on that girl, just how negative it can be for the personality of that young girl. And it was so heartening to see that a brand who has a product related to that particular, that for periods, they actually decided to work around the campaign to burst those taboos, those period taboos. So I think I just love that campaign. I just love the messaging that they were trying to drive through that campaign.
No, thanks for bringing that up. I'm sure those watching this program will look it up online and learn more about their campaign and get inspired to do campaigns like that in the future. Thanks for that. And now let's move to another area of campaign planning and campaign work. A lot of PR professionals work on a numerous amount of campaigns that they feel are amazing, will really achieve desired results. But for some reason or the other, these campaigns sometimes don't work out the way they were planned out to be. A campaign can go awry, things can go wrong. You won't achieve those objectives they were set out for. And we learn from that. We learn, we grow, we improvise, we develop our own thinking by that process. So tell us one such campaign that you think was a real superb campaign, but something went wrong, and you can share that with us so that people say, oh, this is a campaign I should read about, learn, and find out more about so that I don't do mistakes like this in the future. So what's that one campaign that you wanted it to be a great success, but it didn't go the way you wanted it to be? There's one like that. Please share that.
I wanted to answer it in two ways, Amit.
Sure.
One, I want to answer that, okay, what was the campaign? It was not particularly campaign also, but I remember very early in my career, we had to do a press conference. That time, press conference was a very normal process, for any PR company. What happened, we all were aware that you're doing a press conference in the evening is not a good idea. But even then, we thought that, okay, one particular minister is coming. Uh, so, okay, let's pick it up. And that the timing was 7 p.m. You won't believe we gave a confirmation. The client was expecting almost 60, 70, turnout of media, and we managed to get only one journalist. And it was a disaster. So, of course, it was a learning that, okay, it is very important to be assertive with your clients. You know your profession better. So be assertive and tell them what is possible and what is not possible at all. And when you already know the rules, so please stick to it. This is one part. Second part, I want to answer, which is in a positive way. I think when we plan a campaign, it is very important that we also remain little flexible. And we have heard it, read it at many places that a good communicator needs to be a good listener as well. So this is for a client I'm talking about, Snapdeal. We used to handle this client long time back. Startup of evolution had just happened that time. So we planned a campaign for them where the whole objective was to they wanted to do one social campaign. So we thought of, okay, let's go to one village, and we will, they promised to do certain things for the betterment of village. But what happened? The sarpanch of the village, he came to us and said that I want to name my village as Snapdeal Nagar because I'm so impressed with the overall, work that these young, founders are doing. So the initiative that started off as a very small initiative by one startup, which was not very well known that time, and how it turned out to be a global story where we were there from, Hindi newspaper to mainline dailies to even New York Times. So what happened that our planning was something else. Okay, we wanted to go to that direction, but how, us as communication partner and how founders were also very flexible and how they, listened to that advice and thought of implementing it. So I think it is very important that, and if you want to know the rules, stick to it, be assertive, and be little flexible. If you feel that, okay, if you're getting a good advice, why not implement it?
Right. No, thanks for bringing that up. I'm glad you mentioned that. For those watching this show, you may have heard of Jamshedpur being called Tata Nagar in some ways. There could be a couple of other cities in India named after a brand, which is not common anywhere in this part of the world. But yeah, if you read modern history of brands and business, a few years ago, and Manisha brought this up, a small village in UP, Uttar Pradesh, and I've read this on Wikipedia a few years ago, changed their name to Snapdeal Nagar because Snapdeal did a lot of things for that village, including putting, I think, water pumps and hand pumps in that village that they didn't have prior to that, right? So I think that's a fascinating case study of getting an entire village to be named after a brand, which is unique and unusual these days. We see metro stations being named after brands, but that's because they pay a lot of money and that's available for sale. Here you do good for a village by spending money in different ways, and then the village chooses to name itself after the brand. Fascinating. I'm now moving to asking you broader questions of the world of PR. What do you see are the biggest challenges that the PR world, the PR business, PR firms will face in the next few years that we envisage in the next few years? What are the challenges PR firms will face, Manisha?
I think biggest challenge that I see is keeping up with the pace of changing environment. We all know that PR is one of the fast evolving industries, and we have seen the kind of changes that has happened in the last 5 to 6 years only. So if I talk about, and I would like to answer in the following parameters. For example, if I talk about talent, I think now it is very important that we start to look upwards, than inwards. We try to poach, talent from each other. Why not get the expert from outside rather than poaching, talent from each other? Second, second is growth. I think, growth will not happen if we will keep playing in the same field. I think it is very important to create a new space, and technology will definitely play a very important role there. Third is keep up the pace. Upskilling is very, very important, and it should be at both level, not just at the organization level, but at the personal level too. If you want to remain relevant, access to education, access to trainings has become so simple. So keep upgrading yourself. So yes, I think these three challenges I see for the
Thanks for saying that, and I hope all PR firms and PR professionals are able to overcome these challenges in the years to come. The last question on Value 360 before I move to a final set of question. Where do you see the company you created, you founded with your partners 3 or 4 years from now? Where do you see Value 360 evolving into, or what do you see Value 360 being, say in 2024, 2025?
I think we've already seen that, how technology has started playing an important role in our industry. So, what I feel for value, I think value will no more be just a PR agency or firm in next 3 to 4 years. I think, the way we are working, it will become a multifunctional, communication stack group where where technology will be at the core.
Interesting. Thanks for saying that, because the world knows about Clan Connect that some of you all created last year. The world will get to know of more things you will create in the months and years ahead. But thanks for bringing that to the fore. The last question before we move to the rapid fire round, which is an interesting segment we have in all our episodes. What is your message for young professionals who want to make a career in PR? A lot of youngsters who are in the early 20s are either choosing PR as a subject or elective in their bachelor's degree or master's degree program, or coming from other streams and getting into PR. What is your 1 or 2 or 3 key messages to these youngsters to make a success of their careers in the world of public relations?
I think it is one of the exciting times to be in the industry. When we started working in PR, the scope was limited. There were a handful of agencies, and we were doing, a lot of, peddling work and kind of thing used to happen. But now I think the scope of communication has increased so much. Now you have social media, you have digital marketing. All this are working together. So I think so what I want to tell to the youngsters, if you are entering in this field, find your rhythm, give yourself time, explore multiple things, and then find your rhythm and follow your passion. And the most important thing, we all know how industry is changing. We had not heard of Clubhouse last year. Now Clubhouse is becoming so important to drive conversation, and we will keep seeing such innovations in the years to come. So it is very important that you try to remain relevant. Upgrade
Right.
yourself, understand that why upskilling is important, and then
Right.
keep following your passion. Yeah.
So thanks for sharing those insights, Manisha. It was lovely talking to you and getting answers to these 10, 12 questions in the first round. I'm now going to move to the final round. You have less than 100 seconds to answer 10 questions. That's 10 seconds per question, just 1 or 2 or 3 words, not more.
So am I getting a hamper after completing a rapid question round?
You will get a hamper in a few weeks for sure. Yeah, you'll get a hamper at home, and trust me on that. Let's dive in straight into the rapid fire. The first one, which is the brand you trust the most?
Apple.
Okay. Tell us one book you highly recommend that people watching the show should read.
It is my favorite book, The Blue Ocean.
The Blue Ocean. Okay. Your favorite gadget, not the brand name, but a product that you use and you think it's important to you. One gadget.
iPad.
Okay. Who's the best boss you ever had, if you had one?
I never had a boss, but yeah, I think here I would like to name Kunal and Gaurav. I think they have guided me whenever it was required. So yeah.
Nice to hear that. It's very rare to hear a woman refer to a man as her boss who also happens to be her husband in real life. That's unusual, but thanks. Usually, you should be Kunal's boss, but that's just unsolicited advice to you.
I am Kunal's boss also.
Absolutely. Who's your professional role model?
Prema Sagar.
Interesting.
I
That's coming
just
from someone who's never worked in that company. I've heard this from people who work there. That's interesting too. Name one Indian communicator you admire.
Priyanka Chopra. I'd like to go for Priyanka Chopra.
That's an interesting response. What is your favorite cuisine?
Thai.
Your dream holiday destination that you love going back to or want to go to?
Goa. I just love going back to Goa again and again. Yeah.
We are on the same wavelength there. Describe yourself in 3 words. What's Manisha Chowdhury to the world in 3 words?
Communicator, assertive, and mother. My favorite.
Nice. That's the mother of two young kids speaking. The last question, what's the one learning you've had in the last 12, 14 months in the kind of times we're living in currently? One learning that stands out for you.
Yeah. So I think as a leader, I feel it is very important that we always look for opportunities at the time of adversities. Amit, we all have seen what happened last 1 year. So I think as a leader, it is very important to be a strong and effective leader. Then only you will be able to guide your team and workforce properly.
Thank you. So looking for opportunities is that one big learning in the last 12 months. Thank you so much, Manisha. It was pleasure talking to you. And I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did asking you these questions. And I hope our viewers, listeners, wherever you are, have learned something from this young founder of a top 10 PR firm in the country. Also, the top 3 among Indian PR firms. The others are largely now foreign-owned firms. That was Manisha Chowdhury from Value 360 Communications. Thank you so much and look forward to having you all on our future episodes of ComSpeak.
Thank you, Amit.